First of all, Steve, happy football weekend to you, man. This is
Right.
I believe, our third season of doing our pregame show, and I've got to say, man, it seems to get better and better. We seem to, continue to look nicer and nicer as we prepare to do this. And
Mhm.
look, want to let everybody know that we're live here at Arrowhead, saying we're going to be joined momentarily with our guy, Mr. Jeff Chadia, who's going to join us to talk about today's game. That's going to feature the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Cleveland Browns. Of course, the last time these two teams played was back in January when Kansas City defeated the team
Mhm.
22-17. Steve, let me know what you think as you hear me those headphones.
You know what? I think today is the ultimate football day. It's about 90 degrees outside. From the field, when you're down close, it's a little over 100 with the heat index.
Oh, it's
So
hot like that outside.
it's gonna be hot and steamy down there. But you know what? Today is a day that we've all been waiting for. The season did not end how the Chiefs players and fans wanted it to
It
end.
never
So
did end how I predicted it was going to be.
exactly. So today is kind of one of those get back games. Not only do the Chiefs want to get back into the win column, but the Cleveland Browns want to finish what they could not do last year.
One of the things that, of course, a lot of fans are have been talking about is the fact that a lot of prognosticators are having the Cleveland Browns as one of the teams that's going to represent the
Mhm.
AFC in the Super Bowl. Our guest that we have coming up, Jeff Trudie, actually has them in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
Ooh.
he's going to come over here. He's going to explain himself. But look, let's not slight Cleveland. We know that they made some tremendous upgrades in the offseason. They get Odell Beckham back to the team. Of course, I think 5-6 games in, he suffered a season-ending injury, and then
Mhm.
Baker Mayfield and the team kind of took off along the way. They've upgraded the defense. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
Looking at the inactives, it looks like Odell Beckham is not going to play in today's game, so
Exactly.
that's a good thing for Kansas City, and helps my parlay a little bit. So, but be that as it may, Jadeveon Clowney will play. The key to this game, obviously, Steve, is going to be Kansas City's new remake offensive line
Mhm.
going up against this front seven with the Cleveland Browns.
You know what? You think it's the offensive line? I think it's going to be the defensive side of the ball for Kansas City. I think they're going to have to make a statement in today's game. And here it is. You don't have Frank Clark playing. You don't have Tyrann Mathieu playing. So where are they going to get the juice from? Right? Like our guy Terrence Paler said, we're the all juice team. We don't see any juice guys on the defensive side of the ball except Chris Jones.
I'll be the first to tell you it's going to come from Chris Jones and the new addition,
Mhm.
Darren Reed. I've told people throughout the week that I believe that Darren Reed is going to be the defensive most valuable player because of his addition. It's going to allow Spags to move chess pieces around the board. First and foremost, being Chris Jones at the defensive end position.
It's easy to say that. However, you have Jarron Reed that's going to be pushing up the middle. You're going to have Chris Jones that's going to be on the outside. And you have to remember, Chris Jones, that's a new position for him.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to be able to double team Chris Jones now. But what about that other side of the ball? And if you can remember back the last time that the Chiefs played the Cleveland Browns, they had to stop Kareem Hunt. And who did most of I would say the punishment on Kareem Hunt? It was one and only Tyrann Mathieu.
It was Tyrann, of course. Tyrann being out today, he was a late. Well, he was taken off the COVID restriction list on yesterday, but he was out stretching earlier, according to our friend Adam Teicher, ESPN. But just not ready to go in today's ball game. So, speaking of that, how much do you think his absence is going to be felt in today's game?
Tremendously. Look, I said this yesterday that Tyrann Mathieu is the head and shoulders of this Kansas City Chiefs team. I would say Patrick Mahomes is the body, but Tyrann Mathieu is the head and shoulders. Now, within that, they're going to figure out who's going to be left to step up and say, hey, we're not going to lose this ball game because as Tyrann goes, they go. And without Tyrann being out there, like you said, who is going to step up? I would say it has to be Chris Jones. And then you have some guys that are going to, of course, fill in for Tyrann's absence. But it's going to take 2 or 3 guys to be able to replace one guy in Tyrann Mathieu.
The Cleveland Browns, of course, they were bringing in a two-headed monster in their running game, and Nick Chubb and former Kansas City Chiefs running back Kareem Hunt. What, as we talk about the defense, what kind of trouble do they bring to this defensive for the Chiefs?
Look, here it is again. What did the Chiefs want to do all last year? They wanted to get up early and make take the running game out of it. And that's what they're going to try to do. And then we get these young quarterbacks that's coming in, Baker Mayfield, you got Josh Allen, Derek Carr with the Raiders. They want to try to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and air the ball out, which that's going to play into the favor of this Kansas City Chiefs with Tyrann Mathieu. Now, without Tyrann Mathieu, it's going to be left up to the guys you mentioned when we first started, Chris Jones and Jarran Reed, to get after the quarterback and rush Baker Mayfield into some of those terrible throws.
One of the things that, before we go further, want to let the people know, look, it's been 75 years since they've been in existence. Gates Barbecue. If you're coming out to Arrowhead, if you've already done your pregame meal or you tailgate, you can't celebrate Chiefs football without Gates Barbecue. Of course, they sponsor the show. We got our Gates over there. We've been fortunate enough to share it with our friends from the NFL Network and ESPN and USA Today. So they've all come and gotten a piece of this Gates stuff. So make sure you stop by one of the 5 locations, Gates Barbecue, celebrating 75 years and then some. Steve, offensively for Kansas City, of course, it is the Patrick Mahomes show. And as we talked about with the offensive line, Patrick Mahomes, one of the things that a lot of people get concerned about is preseason and players, your starters, playing in the preseason. But it was very important for Patrick, as he mentioned to us during the presser,
right,
along with Andy Reid, for Patrick, because they got the new make offensive line with 5 new starters, that they build that rapport, that they get out there and that they see some live action, because you can only do so much in practice, and you can only do so much when you have if you're scrimmaging against another team. There's only so much you can show, but it's nothing like real game action. How do you think, from what we saw, Kansas City with Patrick and this new offensive line, how do you think that they're going to perform this season?
Here's the thing about that. We've talked about, like you like to say, ad nauseum of Patrick Mahomes stretching the field with Tyreek Hill. Last year he was scramble a lot. He liked to scramble, which I feel like is his strength. And I don't think if teams can't stop it, then why go away from it? Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave other teams in the NFL a way to stop the Chiefs.
They did.
What? Pressure the ball. Don't get beat by the deep ball. So now what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to trust in your running backs to run the ball with this new offensive line. And what we've seen in preseason, and especially the last game, they had gaping holes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to pick up 10 yards before he was even touched. So I think they're going to stress, and it's what Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy has been saying. And when he answered my question, it's like, well, the formula is out there of how to beat you. So now what are you going to do? Are you going to run the ball? Have you stressed running the ball? Of course, they stressed running the ball. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire said, hey, if they take away one thing, we're going to have to be better at something else, which is running the football.
Kansas City Chiefs kickoff in under an hour. We are live from Arrowhead Stadium inside the press box. Darren Smith.
I feel good in here. I
feel good here compared to being outside. I will say that. Well, first of all, gotta say you do look nice, my brother.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you as well.
I appreciate that. And we'll talk about who our sponsors are.
Exactly.
So make sure you all go out there, spend your hard-earned money. But coming back to the game, look, we're looking at Baker Mayfield. The one thing that Baker gets this year that he hasn't had since he's been in the NFL is he has consistency in who his head coach is going to be. Now,
True.
It does say something. Look, we talk about Patrick and Andy. If Patrick was somewhere else, obviously, if he was in Chicago, he probably wouldn't be the quarterback that we're all seeing here. How important is it, do you think, having Kevin Stefanski is for Baker Mayfield and his career now that, we saw the success that they had last year? I think they went 11-5 with Stefanski in his first year. What type of success or growth do you see from Baker this next year out?
I think they had the formula of doing what the Chiefs did for Patrick Mahomes. It's putting good guys around him. Baker Mayfield isn't going to – I don't think he's going to change – it's going to change the player that he is. But once you put a quarterback with good players around him, such as you go and get Odell Beckham Jr., you had Jarvis Landry, you have, the two-headed monster in the running backs. How could you not be successful with that? And then you have, like you said, the consistency at head coach, whereas you're not trying to learn a new scheme each year. So I think he's developed in that system. And look, today is going to be the ultimate test. Will he be able to come out here and do what he needs to do to be able to get a win?
That's that's going to be key. And of course, again, we mentioned Odell Beckham isn't active in today's game, but they still have Jarvis Landry. And of course, according to Pro Football Focus, they have the best offensive line now. that remains to be seen after kickoff or whatever. We see what our players are going to do. But looking at that, and I want to switch from Cleveland back to Kansas City. This offensive line, we saw defensively what Tampa Bay was doing against that line, and again, we got 5 new starters. When I say we, I mean Kansas City Chiefs. I want people, but when you look at that, we have 5 new starters. Looking at it, you go from left to right. You got Orlando Brown that the Chiefs acquired in the trade, 6'9", 345 pounds. Joe Thuney, 6'5". Creed Humphreys, 6'5" center. You
Rock.
don't see,
he's a rock.
Yeah, he's a rock. Trey Smith, 6'6", 345 pounds of man in that right guard. And of course, Lucas Niang, 6'7", 345. I mean, with the expectations, we know the 2 on the left side are Pro Bowl players. We know Creed Humphreys did not give up a sack when he was in college.
Right.
Trey Smith, I think, only gave up 3 sacks his entire college career, and I think Lucas Niang may not have given up a sack if only one. Now, with the expectations, we expect them to be able to, keep Patrick safe and upright, and as you mentioned before, open up gaping holes for the running game and give Patrick enough time. What are the expectations if you're a Chiefs fan with this offensive line?
Look, they're learning. You have to have. I mean, you can't have a short leash with these guys. Now, granted, they are blocking the $500 million man,
Right.
but I think they're not going to be the average first year players. I think Andy Reid has dumbed down the scheme just enough so that they're able to get the job done. And what we saw in preseason, if that continues, I think they'll be fine.
Let me see, Jeff, are you ready to come and join us? Yeah, I mean that's what we do. We're gonna bring in Jeff Chadia. He is an NFL reporter and writer for the NFL Network. Thank you so very much. Now we're gonna pull the old Stephen A. Smith card. When you join us, you put on a shirt and tie and a jacket and stuff. let's make sure we got him. All right, here we go. All right, let me. Can we?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. No, we make sure we can hear you. Jeff Tadia, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on our pregame show. Your initial thoughts of today's ball game between the Chiefs and the Browns?
I would say it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I would say that it means more to Cleveland right now than the Chiefs. You look at where this team left off last year in the postseason. 11-5, first postseason appearance in whatever, 15 years. They got to come in here and make a statement, win or lose. Be honest with you, I don't think it needs to be a victory, but they have to come in here and show that they're a serious team, a serious contender in the AFC.
They have to compete, basically. Yeah. And when you look at that, obviously because of the expectations, and we'll get to your Super Bowl prediction in just a second, so we can hold you accountable to that. But what the
you can say it now if you want.
Well, okay. Okay. So our good friend Jeff Chadia says predicts that it's going to be a Cleveland Browns, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I'm not going to give out his phone numbers. You can harass him, but we're going to let the man know he's wrong. But in all seriousness, why do you feel the Browns will be the representative of the AFC this year?
Well, I think aside from the Chiefs, they're the best team in the AFC. You look at historically, for a team to go to 3 Super Bowls in a row, it's probably harder to do that than it is to repeat Super Bowl champions. That's what I'm saying. How many other teams have done it since then? Yeah. So it's hard to do it. It's hard to go back to Super Bowl after you've lost. That hangover is real. And the Browns have everything you would want to see in a team that can compete to go to a Super Bowl. Again, quarterback has talent. Run game is spectacular. Offensive line is really good. We'll see what happens with their defense. I believe that they made some really good moves in the offseason, but like the Chiefs with their offensive line, until you see it on the field, you don't know what it's going to look like. But I think they, bring in Jadeveon Clowney to help out Myles Garrett with the pass rush. They made some smart moves in the draft, getting guys like Greg Newsome in the secondary and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, adding more speed to that defense. I think that was something that you saw last year when these two teams played in the postseason, was that their defense was not up to the task of being able to keep up with the Chiefs. So that defense was built to deal with the Ravens in their division, but also to deal with the Chiefs when they come here.
And just as you talked about the young linebackers, which is, I think, what people want to see it's what teams are going to try to go to. Get the young, athletic young linebacker that can get out and cover in space and keep up with guys like Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and you saw that was the blueprint that the Bucs had.
Exactly.
Yeah, with Devin White and Levante David. This league is funny, man, because as much as it's always going to be about the offense getting the headlines and getting all the hype, the quarterbacks, there are a lot of really good defensive coaches, a lot of really smart defensive coaches, and sooner or later they begin to figure things out and they begin to plan and prepare to deal with the offense. And so, yeah, you're seeing that happen now. You're seeing faster, more agile linebackers because the college game has to do that now. College game is so spread oriented that if you have guys who can't play in space on defense, you can't win games. And so, you saw the Denver Broncos do that with Patrick Surtain coming in. They said he was a better option than Justin Fields at quarterback. I don't agree with that, but I understand what they're saying. They're thinking we can put a 6'2", 210-pound corner on Travis Kelce, and maybe that's the way to defend him.
Exactly.
And so the thing about the Chiefs, that Chiefs aren't a bad team by any means. They haven't slipped by any means. But generally, if you look at the history of this league, it takes about 3 years for any prolific offense to begin to come back a little bit to earth. And that's because, one, guys leave, guys get hurt, guys get old, and other teams stock up and begin to scout you and figure out how to beat you.
How much so do you think talent is? I mean, look, we as you mentioned, you said Baker's talented, but do you think he's done enough in the offseason to maybe make that move to that next level to lead his team past the Chiefs or even Buffalo Bills or someone like that to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think he's done what he's supposed to do, which is you hear the stories about him taking his receivers out to wherever, Montana, where Tom Brady used to take his receivers to go work out and doing stuff like that. I've always Baker's one of those guys who roasts people one way or another. You either like him or you don't like him. I like the guy. I think he's got a lot of charisma. I think he's got a lot of leadership to him. I think he's understanding that he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, any of these other young quarterbacks who won MVPs or competed to win MVPs, because that's not who he is. Right. And that can be hard for a guy that's drafted first overall to accept that. And what Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, has done, and Andrew Berry, the general manager, has done, which I think is brilliant, is made him understand that, look what's all around you, man. Look what we got here for you.
Exactly.
You don't have to. Someone in their organization put it best. In Kansas City, you need Patrick Mahomes to be a superstar 90% of the time to win games. Mm-hmm. The Browns can win games with Baker Mayfield being a superstar 30% of the time. So as long as he understands that, it's not trying to be a rock star.
Baker just doesn't have to lose a game for you. He doesn't have to win it, but just don't lose it. This is the Chiefs pregame cheat sheet. Steve Walsh, Darren Smith were joined by Jeff Chadia of the NFL Network. Jeff, to that point, though, Baker's ascension came literally at the cost of Odell Beckham when he went down last year. That's when, like, the turnaround, so to speak, where he was kind of forcing throws to Odell, and then once he went down, it just seemed like the spread. He was able to get everybody else involved. He's inactive for today's game, but to bring him back into the fold of things, how do you think that Baker and the Browns will be able to make that adjustment? Because it was hard to do, to start the season off last year, and then, as I said, they took off. How do they, reincorporate him back into that offense where he's not so concerned about his stats and numbers?
Well, I think when you've been hurt and you've had a chance to sit out and you've seen a team have success without you, it's a lot easier to buy into it. And Odell Beckham going into, I think he's got 2 years left on his current deal. I think that he and Mayfield certainly have some kind of relationship. Again, if they're traveling around and working out together, Jarvis Landry being there is a big factor in that as well. I think Odell will be fine. And I think it benefited from him being out. It did allow Baker to say, I've got to get these other guys involved. I've got to trust this offense more. I've got to work within the offense more. He's no different than any other young quarterback. I mean, I look at Patrick, he's going to throw the ball to Tyreek and Travis Kelce 80% of the time. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen's going to throw the ball to Stephon Diggs 80% of the time. Lamar Jackson, he's going to hit up Mark Andrews. Right. Everybody's got their guys. But where that offense really prospered was that, again, going to guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins, these third and fourth guys, getting them more involved and letting people know that you got to defend these guys too. That's a big thing for a young team to have.
Now, you talked about the defense. Looking at the Chiefs' defense, you talked about the Browns' offense, but looking at the Chiefs' defense, no Tyrann Mathieu, no Frank Clark. Where is the juice going to come from in this game? Because normally, like I said, Tyrann is the head and shoulders of this Chiefs team. So without him, where do they go?
Well, Chris Jones, Jaron Reed, wake up. L'Jarius Sneed, time to wake up. I've always said when it comes to the Chiefs defense, or the Chiefs period, I think they had to have 6 guys play well to win games. Matthew, Jones, Clark, Hill, Kelce, and Mahomes. and so now you're going to be without two of those key players.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge. They got to be able to tackle. That's the first thing they got to do, right? Because I guarantee you, Cleveland is coming downhill with Nick Chubb and with Kareem Hunt, and so that's the first thing for it. If they can get their running game going, it's going to be a long game for the Chiefs. If those guys can shut that down early, and not having Beckham there, that deep threat is going to help them out a lot. But if they can't stop the run, it's going to be hard for them to win this game.
It's just going to be one of those games where Mahomes is going to have to go out there and get up 2 scores early, so that way it takes the running game and kind of negates all of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is certainly, as much as Mahomes talked about wanting to stay in the pocket and be patient and go through his reads. I mean, he knows it's like Kobe Bryant back in the day. I'm going to get everybody involved.
Right.
But when it comes down to actually scoring points and, winning the game, like, give me the ball. And so I think, you'll definitely see that.
All right. Well, I mean, look, there's a lot to look. What's your score prediction in this game?
I picked it 31-27. I'll stick with that. You got that one?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Look at you guys. We're looking like it's Easter Sunday out there.
I got
Baby
more,
blue and pink.
I got more 31-24. I need the Chiefs to cover. So, I got the Chiefs. Got Chiefs covering 6.5. So I need them to win 31-24 at least and get over 51 points. So yeah, so that's what I got in today's ball game.
Okay.
I bet my money now with my heart. So,
is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
I bet with my stomach. I like getting filled up. You know what I'm saying? I always eat well when Darren's around.
Good up barbecue.
So quick thing. So of course, Jeff got me last year. I'm still trying to figure out how he got me on the second one about the dinner, but he had me on the undefeated one and had the Chiefs. The matchup correct.
That wasn't a bet though, was it?
Yeah, it probably was a bit, but I'll take you at your word. But
we got on radio.
But this year, we making sure now. You know what I'm saying? Jeff is picking now we both got the Bucks going. A lot of people are following my lead with the Chiefs Bucks, rematch. But be that as it may,
I never heard you say that until now.
Dude,
I've never heard you say that.
Have I not been talking about the Bucks and the Chiefs electric boogaloo? I mean, I've been saying that since last year.
I've never heard it. This is the first time.
Like you said, it's funny how things happen when Darren gets on the radio.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
you got phantoms, ghosts.
Like you said, we got audio. But be that as it may, Jeff and I, we actually got a legit bet that this time when he loses, he's going to pay up. Because I got the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl. He's got the Browns. And when the Browns get eliminated and the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, when we go out to L.A., I'm going to eat well on your NFL Network guys. So I just putting it out there right there.
I've heard that before.
Well, no.
Well,
you didn't have the Browns going last year. But
Darren writing some checks he can't cash.
Well, I think Darren's trying to find some caveats now because before it was like Chiefs going defeated. Chiefs repeating
2 years in a row, though.
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hey, now, again, last year, if they don't beat themselves, getting those 2 touchdowns called back, they might go into week 17, 15-0. They might. And then, of course, they're playing everybody, and they might go undefeated until the Super Bowl. Now, Super Bowl happens, it happens. But this time around, what's your record for the Kansas City Chiefs?
13-4.
Ooh.
You got those 13?
I got to do 13-4 as well. I have 13-4.
I'm not even a Chiefs fan, and I got a better record than these 2 guys here.
Yeah.
Really?
What's your record?
That's your record.
I'm not
17-0. 17-0.
Well, hold on. Look, Patrick is the one. Patrick and I'm talking about 20-0. I got them going 15-2. I still can't find the 2 games that they're going to lose, but I figured they'll probably, get 2 touchdowns.
He one of these guys that I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I'm never going to not pick him.
Exactly.
Never going to not pick him.
Exactly. He's like that.
Hell, we know you want some Gates barbecue. Everybody's
Is there ever going to be a year where you don't pick the Chiefs?
What do you mean?
Will you always?
No.
Do you think the Chiefs are always going to be in the Super Bowl?
No.
What would it take not to be?
Patrick being injured. That's a good start. That's a good start.
Okay.
That's a good start.
You know what's interesting? They understand that it's going to have to take 10 wins or better for them to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
As long as they understand that, I think they'll be fine.
I think it's going to have to be 11 or 12.
I think so.
Well, because of the 17.
I mean, look at last year. We had what 6, 17, at least 10 wins or better.
Oh,
yeah,
so,
but I think
AFC is strong.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I say AFC is so strong now. If you're talking about a 2-team race like we were last year at the time, it was Ravens or Chiefs. Who you take?
Exactly.
Right? Nobody was talking about 2 teams.
Yeah.
Now it's legitimate 7-10. Legitimately, who could win the AFC?
Crazy part about that is that you have to. I mean, because there's legitimately 3 teams in both the Browns division as well as the AFC East that could potentially.
Well, the Ravens taking a hit.
Yeah. Well,
that's the Ravens thing in the hip.
See West got one in the South. Somebody I think New England may off this year. I think Miami. I think
Pittsburgh's not looking bad today either.
Yeah. Oh, I think the West is going to be more dangerous than people realize.
I do too.
Chargers
Denver
and the Raiders.
Solid.
The Raiders came in here and won last year. So there's just some teams that can sneak up.
They had all it takes is they had a formula and the confidence to be able to do it.
Well, Jeff, we thank you very much. We know you've got some hits you got to do for the NFL Network as you get ready for this upcoming season. Will you be in Baltimore next week, or
I'm not sure about that.
You just go where they.
I go where they tell me to go. This is in my backyard, so I stay put. But
exactly,
we got people on the East Coast. That's a nice thing. They go east, I can go somewhere else.
I know that's right. Well, hey, thank you as always, man.
For sure, man.
We'll make sure.
You guys, good to see you back in the press box.
For sure, man. Last year was
right. Press box. Good to be back. Look for Steve. Let everybody know who you're looking. Let's get sharp today.
You go and talk to my guys over at Dillard's on Rosa. They'll take care of you. They also have ladies wear purses, makeup, all that good stuff. But for the guys, go talk to my guys Dillard's on Rosa. He'll make sure that you straight away.
And we'll have to make sure Jeff and the count over at Todd's Taylor and Clothier. Todd's Clothier and
this is a.
Gotta get you looking professional. We gotta get you looking.
I got my own dude.
So
see,
I got my own dude.
Anyway, so we say that make sure you stop by. He's got 2 locations, one down on 21st and Broadway, and of course over in the Ward Parkway Shopping Center. So make sure you join us post game. We'll be bringing you the Chiefs presser with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and others, and then of course throughout the week and next week we'll be doing the show live from Baltimore, Maryland, as we present you the Chiefs pregame cheat right before Sunday Night Football. So until next week, Darren Smith, Steve Walls, with a good friend, Mr. The Chief Cheat Sheet live at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll see you later. All right.